DeBoer's been absolutely crushing it in the transfer portal recently, and I'm not shocked even to the slice of bits because I'm still holding Alabama to the gold standard until something changes. Until they start losing 4 or 5 games a year, nope, gold standard. For the people out there that think Alabama's going to have this huge drop-off, my friend, you are sadly mistaken. Did you know we are officially 15, let me repeat that number, 15 Saturdays away into the college football season? Fun fact of the day. I don't want to sit up here and say I'm excited because we still have a long ways to go, but like I always say in the offseason, you're going to go to the pool a couple times. You may go on a vacation. You're going to go to a couple cookouts. Next thing you know, you're going to look up and it's going to be late August. It's going to be here before we know it. But however, that is besides the point. In today's video, we got to talk about one man and one team only. That is no other than Kalen DeBoer and Alabama. Where's all my Bama fans at? Shout out to the Bama fans. I want to see y'all in the comment section in this video. I say we just get straight into this video. I don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste either. First things first, let me give you some brief context to our situation. For those of you that haven't been living under a rock, Nick Saban will no longer be the head coach at Alabama heading into this up-and-coming season. It will be no other than, like I just told you, Kalen DeBoer, Washington's former head coach. Whether or not you think it's a great hire or you think it's going to work out, that's a different conversation for a different day. We're not here to talk about that. What we're to talk about and what we're to speak on is what DeBoer's been doing these past couple of months. As a person who keeps up with college football, I've heard this everywhere, and also as a person who lives and resides in the state of Alabama, I've heard this from everybody. Oh yeah, well, he seems like a good guy, but I don't think he can recruit in the SEC. I don't think he can recruit in the South. If you were to ask me, yo, Matt, what has been the biggest knock on Kalen DeBoer you hear time after time after time? It's that right there, the recruiting aspect. Sure, I've heard a couple of people say they're worried about his coaching ability because it's just different when you're at Alabama compared to Fresno State and Washington. But that's not the one I hear the most. It's definitely the recruiting. Which, to tell you the truth, I can understand that narrative because it's common sense to think there is going to be a huge drop-off with going from the greatest of all time, and not just to Kalen DeBoer, but anybody else. As we all know, when Nick Saban retired, what happened? A bunch of Alabama players that either A, declared for the draft, or B, they entered the portal. That has nothing, and let me repeat, nothing to do with Kalen DeBoer. That's all about Saban leaving. But man, oh man, I don't know if DeBoer got the message that he wasn't quote-unquote supposed to be good at recruiting because he has been killing it as of recent. I would say one of the big early on recruits he got was Ryan Williams, a 5-star wide receiver. Remember, he originally committed to Alabama. Saban retires. He decommits, and everybody's like, all right, he's going to go elsewhere. But Kalen DeBoer won him back, and I think that's huge. The Ryan Williams commitment might be something we point to in 10, 15 years and say, yep, that was the Julio Jones type of commitment for DeBoer. I firmly believe there needs to be a documentary itself on the Julio Jones commitment alone. It was that impactful. Julio Jones is the reason all these other recruits went to Alabama with him in the first place. Alabama was not this powerhouse that they are now. On the grand scheme of things, is the Williams commitment, or will it be as big as Julio Jones? Absolutely not. No. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say here, and let me get this message across clearly to you guys, Ryan Williams could be the start of DeBoer's prowess on the recruiting trail, just like it was for Saban with Julio. Continuing along here, though, and I'm not even here to talk about his recruiting when it comes to the high school recruits, I'm here to talk about what he's doing in the portal. Yesterday, breaking news came out that Penn State's transfer defensive back, King Mack, he's committing to Alabama. This is a former 4-star recruit, and he played in 13 games as a true freshman for Penn State. I can't tell you enough how great of a pickup this is for DeBoer. For those of you who don't know, I would say the biggest weakness for Alabama right now heading into the season, granted we're 3 to 4 months out, is the secondary. And it's not because we don't have a lot of, well, it is because we don't have a lot of depth, but it's more so about we had a lot of guys leave, so we're trying to replace them. The depth situation, at least in my humble opinion, by late August, early September, it's going to be A-okay. However, if you could or would like to nitpick at Alabama, you could say, oh yeah, they do lack some depth in the secondary, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not going to lie to y'all, I wish I did know more about Mr. King Mack here. Unfortunately, I don't. This isn't a young man I kept up with all throughout high school, and I didn't keep up with him last year either. I think Bama fans should be pretty excited about that. Obviously, there's got to be some good things about him, considering Kalen DeBoer and Alabama's coaching staff are going after him. But whoa, hold on. Hold your horses, partner, hold your horses. If that wasn't good enough for you, there's more. We're just getting started. Earlier this morning, Saturday, as when I'm speaking and making this video, Kalen DeBoer picked up another transfer out of the portal, and this is an offensive lineman that goes by the name of Gino Vandemark. I hope I'm saying that correctly. or Vandy Mark. He's coming in at a whopping 6'5", 320 pounds, and he played in 18 games for the Spartans, as you can see right here from Hayes Fawcett. Shout out to Hayes. Another player I'm not too familiar with, but I don't think it's a bad pickup by any stretch of the imagination. And here's the thing I want people to understand. You're going to have, I can smell them, the people run into the comment section right now. Matt, this King Matt guy, the DB from Penn State, he's not even going to start at Bama. Matt, this offensive lineman Gino from Michigan State, he's not that good and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Here's what your casuals don't understand, or maybe they're just ignorant to the fact of, in college football, you need backups. This isn't baseball. It's not basketball. This is football. In baseball, injuries are few and far between. Backups are somewhat meaningless. Basketball, well more than that. But football, injuries happen every single game. But even in basketball, although there's not as many injuries in football, I would love to see a comparison. I'm not going to pull it up. Different video for a different day. You still have starters getting nicked up and banged up here and there. My point is, you need backups. Even if these guys don't start next year, they're more than likely probably going to play a little bit, and they can get developed and start the next year or the year after that. Take a look at this, though. This is a list of the players that DeBoer has gotten out of the transfer portal, and some of these guys, I think they're going to make a huge impact for Alabama in this up-and-coming season. Quarterback, Austin Mack. He's the guy who came from Washington. Offensive lineman, Parker Brailsford, also came from Washington. And wide receiver, Jeremy Bernard. All I'm going to say is Parker Brailsford and Jeremy Bernard, I expect them to have good seasons. Continuing along, DB, Keon Sapp from Michigan. That's a big one. We'll come back to him in just a second. Tight end, Josh Cuvis. Hope I'm saying that correctly. He came from Washington. Offensive lineman, Caden Proctor. No introduction needed. I'm not going to get into that. This is another big one. Kicker, Graham Nicholson from Miami. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I made an entirely separate video just speaking about how huge that was, because he's the best kicker in the nation. He won the I'm drawing a blank here. The Graza Award. That's what it's called, right? I'm drawing a blank. I could be wrong on that. If I am, correct me in the comment section. Defensive back, Cam Howard, Charlotte. Cornerback, Deshaun Jones, Wake Forest. Defensive back, King Matt. We just talked about him. And also Gino, offensive lineman from Michigan State. On this list alone, you'll notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive backs. You can tell DeBoer is putting a lot of attention and detail to the secondary. And he needs to, rightfully so. Let me address this, though. I've seen numerous people state time after time after time, oh, well, Alabama, they're getting the leftovers. They're not getting guys from Georgia, Ohio State, nothing like that. They're getting the crumbs of the cookies. I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from in this argument, because when you look at all these schools, you got schools like Michigan State. They've sucked the past couple of years. Wake Forest, not very good. Charlotte, a no-name. Miami, not the U, Miami of Ohio. And yeah, I mean, it's no big-time ballers. But here's why I'm having such a hard time trying to understand the logic of stating, oh, well, these guys aren't coming from big-time schools. We're not evaluating Wake Forest. We're not evaluating Miami of Ohio or Charlotte. We're evaluating the player itself. That's all we care about. That's who we want. We don't want the school. We want the player. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about here? A good football player is a good football player, regardless of what team they're on. Let me give you a great example. Put this into a better perspective so you can relate. That would be the equivalent to, and this wouldn't happen, we're just theoretically speaking here, Caleb Downs entering the transfer portal and going to Georgia Tech. So since Georgia Tech sucks at football, does that mean we view Caleb Downs as a lesser player? You see what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. As a matter of fact, I'd make an argument for, I like getting guys like this that are coming from a smaller school because they have a chip on their shoulder and they got something to prove and they are hungry. That's just me, though. Who am I to say that? Let me know in the comment section. Me personally, I give 2 craps where they previously played at. Don't care. Oh yeah, wait a minute. I didn't even mean for this to happen. Speaking of Georgia Tech, the team I use as an example, what a coincidence. Remember Jahmyr Gibbs? He came from Georgia Tech. Yeah, so how about that, partner? Next time you want to crap on not Alabama, but any head coach at a big-time school getting a guy from a college or team that sucks, remember Jahmyr Gibbs. DeBoer's been absolutely crushing it in the transfer portal recently, and I'm not shocked even to the slice of bits because I'm still holding Alabama to the gold standard until something changes. Until they start losing 4 or 5 games a year, nope, gold standard. As where it stands right now, there's more to football than just recruiting, but DeBoer's picking up right where Saban left off. A lot of good things are happening in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I think the rest of the country, they're going to be in for a surprise in this upcoming year. For the people out there that think Alabama's going to have this huge drop-off, my friend, you are sadly mistaken. I'll leave it at that. There's many more things I could say. Let me know your thoughts down below. But